just would like to say a few words. I think that in Europe we are at the real beginnings of founding what is needed if Europe will grow and have a good future, of a Europe of the citizens. And more the European Union has the problem that people, let's say, resist or tend to become skeptic because their impression is there's a lot of legislation going on in Brussels, but they do not really understand how it works, who decides what, and especially they do not really feel part of that process. They do not know how to make themselves heard in Brussels. We do not have a European debate. Leaving the people too much out, Europe will come into a great danger, because what has started as the project of a lead, what has started as a Europe of governments with treaties, now has to become a Europe of the citizens, a more and more democratic Europe, because otherwise it will fail. I'm afraid that the European project gets in danger if it doesn't become a democratic project. The idea of seeing Europe and democracy as an antagonism, for me, is completely strange, because the idea of democracy is a very European idea, and it's not possible to build European differently than with the people and on the basis of the will of the people, the sovereignty of the people. So when my vision on Europe is asked, then I would say that people, on the long run, long terms, people have to have the first and the last say. So people should be able to put things on the agenda, to say, dear Commission, dear Parliament, dear Council, we see this and that problem and we want you to deal with that. We want you to decide on that. My personal opinion is that also we, in the long run, we must have referendums in Europe on political issues, so that people say, we have those institutions, we have those people we voted for to decide for us, but when we don't agree, or when we have the feeling they don't pick up what is important for us, then we must have the possibility to decide by ourselves. When we do this, then Europe will start to become alive. So everything we are talking now, also we have been talking about when we talked about the European Constitution, the Lisbon Treaty, the Constitution of Europe has to be a constitution by the people. And by discussing which Europe do we want, which kind of policy do we want within Europe, Europe starts to become alive as a reality, because people feel as Europeans. Right now, they behave and they feel as mere spectators of European politics, but they don't have the impression that's our Europe and we are the sovereigns in Europe. We are the citizens, we are the subjects who can influence politics and decisions. So this I would say in the very beginning as a general idea and aim. And when we look at this, we can see that the European Citizen Initiative is a very first step to come a bit closer towards that aim, to give people a say in Brussels or in Europe. But it depends a lot on how we do that. Whether we make it a working instrument, a practically working instrument, whether we make it citizen-friendly, inviting citizens to use it. I would say we should be happy if we have a lot of citizen initiatives in the future. Or if we do it in a way that's quite prohibitive or that's frustrating citizens. I'm also a person who has collected a lot of signatures in my life, and I know how hard it is. It's not just that you walk around and collect signatures, you have to talk with a person. sometimes 15 minutes, 10 minutes, sometimes half an hour, sometimes 5 minutes. And then in the end, the person says, okay, this is important, I do agree, where can I sign? And then people sign. And then when I was in the Bundestag, I sometimes was nearly crying, because when I knew that there, for example, there have been 500,000 signatures, and people brought it to the Bundestag and said, here is the expression of our will. We had no one to take these signatures. And sometimes I took the signatures, but where should I bring them? I could bring it to the president, but I asked the president, what are you going to do with the signatures? And he said, okay, we have a room in the basement. And I said, but that's not what people expect. And in the end it comes to a shredder and it's gone. If you don't have rules for that, and if people don't get an answer, if people don't have the impression, now we have collected the signatures, and that's the result, we have an answer, we understand the answer, then I'm really afraid that it could even more frustrate people than it makes them happy to involve, to engage, and to feel like like a European citizen. So for me, all the questions are important now that are left open by the Treaty of Lisbon. The Treaty of Lisbon makes, let's say, the borderlines. It says 1 million signatures and a significant number of membership states and so on. But there are lots of questions open, and we can make it more bureaucratic, or we can make it more, let's say, so that it invites people to use this instrument. The biggest question is still open. It's not answered at all. The biggest question for me is the question, what will be the result? Because the treaty says we can invite, citizens can invite the Commission. But does it mean to invite? So for example, to invite for me would also mean I would be happy if the Commission then would invite the people to explain their proposal and to discuss with them about what can we do. This would really show that politics open the doors for the citizens. I would also be happy if we, as the European Parliament, would say we invite those people who have collected 1 million signatures, and let them explain their idea, discuss with them, and see what we can do. When we are talking about the proposal, the Commission will do. And the Commission asked a lot of questions. And here in this room, there are very many experienced people with this special issue, probably much more experienced with this special field of questions than most of those who work on it in the Commission. And therefore we should use that time to discuss the questions within the Green Book and to come to good conclusions.